beginning a routine mission that wasn't. Space has a way of making you feel small. When you're floating between stars with nothing but darkness stretching in every direction, you start to realize how tiny your life really is compared to the universe. Most people can't handle that feeling. I learned to live with it. My name is Lucas Hale, a deep space recovery pilot working for the Outer Systems Authority. My job was simple: locate damaged ships, retrieve survivors if there were any, and salvage whatever equipment could still be used. It wasn't heroic work. It was quiet, lonely, and sometimes dangerous. But it paid well enough, and after spending years drifting between forgotten star systems, I had grown comfortable with the silence of space. Until the day my sensors detected a distress beacon that shouldn't have existed. The signal was faint but steady, coming from the dark side of a dead star system far beyond human territory. When I ran the signal through my scanner, I immediately knew something strange was happening. The beacon wasn't human. The language code belonged to a civilization I had only heard about in rumors. The Alienempire, an advanced alien civilization that rarely interacted with humanity. Their ships were fast. Their technology was mysterious. And their royal family was said to command fleets powerful enough to erase entire star systems. Naturally, I should have turned around and reported the signal to the authority. Instead, I set a course directly toward it. Looking back, that decision changed my life forever. The wreck in the dark. The signal led me to a drifting starship half buried in a cloud of shattered debris. Even damaged, the vessel was breathtaking. The hull curved like liquid metal, reflecting distant starlight in soft blue patterns. Strange symbols glowed along the surface like living circuitry. It was easily the most advanced ship I had ever seen. But something had gone terribly wrong. One entire section of the ship had been ripped open, exposing interior corridors to the vacuum of space. My scanner detected minimal life signs. Just one survivor. That was enough reason to board. I suited up, attached a magnetic tether to my ship, and drifted toward the breach in the hull. Inside, the ship was silent. Emergency lights flickered faintly along the walls. Pieces of broken machinery floated through the air like slow-moving ghosts. I followed the life sign deeper into the vessel, through twisted hallways, across shattered chambers, until I reached a sealed door that had somehow survived the damage. When I forced it open, I froze, because the person inside wasn't just any survivor. She was sitting calmly in the center of the room, surrounded by dim holographic displays. And she was clearly alien royalty, the AlienPrincess. She looked up as the door slid open. For a moment we just stared at each other. She was tall and elegant, with pale silver skin that shimmered faintly under the emergency lights. Long strands of dark violet hair flowed down her back, and her eyes glowed with a soft golden light. Even sitting down, she carried herself like someone used to being obeyed. Her clothing was torn slightly from whatever disaster had struck the ship, but the design was unmistakable. Royal attire. I had just rescued an alien princess, or accidentally walked into something far more complicated. She studied me carefully before speaking. "You are human." Her voice was calm, almost musical. "Last time I checked," I said. She tilted her head slightly, examining me like a scientist studying a strange specimen. "You came alone?" "Yeah." Her golden eyes widened slightly. "You boarded a damaged alien warship alone?" I shrugged. "I've done worse things for smaller paychecks." To my surprise, the corner of her lips lifted slightly. Amusement. "I suppose humans are as reckless as the stories say." "Depends on the human," I replied. Then I gestured toward the damaged displays around her. "Your ship looks pretty bad. Can you walk?" "Yes." "Good. My ship is about 500 meters that way. I turned to leave, but she didn't move. A dangerous situation. Wait, she said. Something in her tone made me pause. What's wrong? She stood slowly. I cannot leave. That was not the answer I expected. You're the only survivor on this ship, I said. Staying here isn't exactly safe. I know. Then why not come with me? She hesitated. Then she spoke quietly. Because the ones who attacked my ship are still searching for me. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. Who attacked you? The Varkathi Syndicate. Even I recognized that name. Space pirates. Not ordinary criminals, but an organized fleet known for capturing high-value targets. And a princess from the Alienempire was about as high value as it got. If they find you, she continued, they will start a war. I frowned. How? Because they will blame humanity. That was the moment I realized how serious this situation was. If pirates captured an alien princess in human territory, it could spark a conflict between two civilizations, one that might spread across half the galaxy. Okay, I said slowly. New plan. You're definitely coming with me. Escape from the wreck. We moved quickly through the damaged corridors toward the breach in the hull. The princess followed close behind, surprisingly calm considering the situation. What's your name? I asked. Princess Vaelira. Lucas. Lucas, she repeated thoughtfully. When we reached the opening in the hull, I activated the tether line connecting the wreck to my ship. The journey back through open space was quiet. Stars stretched endlessly around us as we drifted toward safety. But halfway across, my scanner beeped. Multiple incoming vessels. Fast. I checked the signal. Varkathi pirate ships. Of course, I muttered. The princess floated beside me, watching the distant lights approaching in the darkness. They have found us. Yeah, I noticed. How fast is your ship? Fast enough if we reach it in time. We pushed forward, accelerating toward my small salvage vessel. Behind us, the pirate ships grew larger. Closer. Too close. The moment we reached the airlock, I practically dragged her inside and sealed the hatch. Then I sprinted to the cockpit and powered up the engines. Pirate ships closed in behind us just as the engines roared to life. Hold on, I shouted. The ship launched forward, engines blazing as we jumped into hyperspace seconds before the pirates could fire. Silence filled the cockpit. We had escaped. For now. The whisper. Hours later, when the adrenaline finally faded, the princess stood beside the observation window, watching the stars stretch past us. You saved my life, she said quietly. That's kind of my job. No, she said. You risk starting a war by helping me. I shrugged. Didn't seem like leaving you behind was a better option. She studied me carefully. You are unusual for a human. I get that a lot. For a while, we just watched the stars. Then she stepped closer. Close enough that I could hear her breathing. Lucas, she said softly. Yes. She leaned toward me and whispered something so quietly that I barely heard the words. But when I did, I went completely speechless. Ending. The words that changed everything. Her whisper was simple. Just a few words. But those words changed everything. She had said, "My people believe destiny speaks through chance meetings, and I believe you are part of mine." For several seconds, I didn't know how to respond. Not because the words were confusing, but because of the way she said them, like someone who had just realized something important. You barely know me, I finally said. Perhaps, she replied. But sometimes the universe introduces people for reasons we do not understand yet. I leaned back in the pilot's chair, staring at the stars rushing past the window. You know, I said slowly, When I answered that distress beacon, I thought it would just be another salvage job. And instead, now I'm flying through space with an alien princess who might start a galactic incident. She laughed softly. Or perhaps prevent one. That thought hung in the air for a moment. Then she added something else. Lucas, when we reach Alien space, my people will want to reward you. I didn't do this for a reward. I know, she said. That is exactly why they will trust you. The ship continued drifting through hyperspace toward the distant alienempire. A place I had never expected to see. A future I had never imagined. And as Princess Valera stood beside me watching the endless stars, I realized something strange. Answering that distress signal hadn't just saved her life. It had opened a door into a story much bigger than either of us understood yet. And it all began with a whisper that left me completely speechless.